Okay, 2 weeks ago on this show, we laughed at an Alabama fan website that suggested Tennessee should be thrown out of the SEC because of the new law that was passed in this state saying that Tennessee doesn't have to, that schools in this state don't have to go along with any of the rules set forth by the House settlement, which still isn't settled and probably won't last, once it is settled, it won't last long. Regardless, this guy said throw him out. We all ha-ha'd. Then about 3 days later, the news comes out that, oh no, the power conferences are putting together a memo, a deal that everyone has to sign, or else you're out. So then people started talking about, well, we'll just go to the Big Ten. It's like, no. You're out. None of these teams will play you. Yeah. You'll be playing Kent State, although maybe Danny White would like that, judging by the way he schedules. So Tennessee, though, came out this week, according to Ross Dellinger, and it's the only quote. There was no story attached to it. It was simply a quote, and we can go ahead and put it up on screen here, that he said, Tennessee Chancellor Donde Plowman tells Yahoo Sports that her school does plan to sign the House settlement-related affiliation agreement. And Josh, Greg Sankey made the same kind of comment at SEC meetings this week.
Yeah, saying that all 16 SEC schools did agree to the affiliation agreement, as well as to, quote, alter or clarify state laws that might contradict the House settlement, which would be an indication that that's Tennessee.
Yes, exactly. and you do have other states that are going down the path to create their own laws like that. But still, for those who are like, yeah, we'll take on all comers, that's not this. Tennessee's kind of backed down, if you will. But it's the only thing you can do. You know, if everyone's saying we won't play you if you don't agree to this, well, you're an idiot if you don't agree to it. So I have no problem with Donde Plowman and UT backing down. I kind of expected this. Didn't think the SEC would want. I didn't think it would get to the point where the SEC would actually say, "Well, you're out," and I didn't think Tennessee would say, "Yeah, we'll not take your money. We'll go away." So I'm not surprised that it came out this way. Do you think there'll be any kind of disappointment from the fans who just like the idea of taking on a fight with anyone out there?
Well, I'm sure some, but I'm not necessarily surprised either. I would have thought maybe this would go on a little bit longer, but they did have the meeting, so something probably needed to come together. And I know last segment we talked about the division that seems to exist with different opinions in the conference, but Donde Plowman's in a leadership position in the SEC. I doubt that she wanted to be fighting with Greg Sankey. I doubt Danny White wants to fight with Greg Sankey and the league and other administrators. So if you didn't have other schools that were doing the same thing, or states, meaning the schools that are doing the same thing, then that's probably not a fight that was worth it for Tennessee. There'll be another fight in the future if this House settlement thing gets taken on, but they can take that on together when they get to that point.
Agree. At this point, I mean, I understand we don't want to get sued. It's kind of the gist of this. If we do this, we're a public institution, can someone sue us? But the bottom line is everyone's getting on the same page and we'll all be sued together, I guess. I would rather be in the boat than outside the boat, Vince, so I got no problem with what they've done. I think it makes the most sense.
Yeah, I agree. I think the allegations or the reporting that they would get kicked out of the SEC or anybody else, it was just a farce. So
but the threat was there. If you're passing around a memo that says everybody better sign, there is a memo that everybody has to sign.
No, I agree that it was there, but I didn't think we'd get to that point.
Yes.
And yeah, it makes more sense. And look, the presidents are the ones that don't want any part of a fight with the SEC, including Donde Plowman and the chancellors, of course. It's different than the ADs and the coaches. They're not on the same page with what they're discussing, but obviously this is one that makes a lot of sense to kind of follow along. And then, yeah, you're going to have more things to deal with. You don't want to have to fight that right now.
Yeah, I think if there was a surprise, it was the fact that there was this piece of paper that was being put together. Again, we laughed at the idea of Tennessee or anybody else being thrown out, only to find out that, no, we are kind of doing a handshake agreement here, or putting in writing that we all play by the same rules, whatever the House settlement comes up with. That was the surprise. Not that Tennessee would walk back and say, all right, cool our heads, let's be smart here. It's better to be part of the group than by ourselves. It was the fact that there was any discussion of this in the first place, and the fact that it went as far as you won't be allowed to play anyone in these power conferences if you go in that direction. That was rather shocking, in fact, to me.
Yeah, I was pretty stunned when I saw that, because there didn't seem to be any wiggle room in what the affiliate agreement said. Now we just get back to kind of the tired waiting game of the House settlement. A month from today is when the new revenue share plan is supposed to go into effect, July 1. So we have a month to go, and we still don't know exactly what it's going to mean for the long term because of all the speculation and the doubts that are still around the House settlement. Okay, get this through Judge Claudia Wilkin. If she finally approves it and it's done, what does that mean for the future? Nobody seems to know, because there will be at some point a fight over NIL and trying to police that.
Yeah, I mean, it should be, let's say it finishes a month from now, then a month and a day from now is when they're going to start taking on lawsuits over it. The incredible thing is, as disconnected as everything else in the sports world seems to be, that everyone got connected enough to say, we're all agreeing to this or you're out. That was it's about the only thing that apparently all these schools can agree
And
on.
at some point, maybe they collectively go after trying to figure out a collective bargaining agreement in the future, because that is something Danny White has been on record that they will need.
And he may be more so than any athletic director in the country, and I give him credit for that, a lot of credit. He seems to be willing to say, look, the House thing probably isn't going to hold.
Yeah.
We need to collectively bargain this thing. And there are a lot of people that don't want to do that, and I give him credit for at least seeing the writing on the wall and admitting, hey, look, stop ignoring. There's writing on that wall over there. Because a lot of these people are acting like it's not there.
Donde Plowman agreed with him.
Yeah.
In that interview.
Yeah. And you got good leadership at Tennessee.